Hello. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm teacher Jomer Tabafa, and I'm going to be your teacher in our social studies class for today. And what we're going to learn now is the Philippine presidents and their policies. So let's get started. So the contents of our lesson for today are as follows. First, yeah, we're going to touch the topic of Philippine presidents from past to present, but our main focus here are the Philippine presidents for the last 2 decades, from 2000 to 2021, and their notable policies. After that, we're gonna have an activity, and of course, I'm gonna give you homework. All right, so let's begin. Okay. So here are the Philippine presidents from the past to present. But before that, I want to ask one question. Okay. So just to give you something to think about. Okay. So what do you think are some of the qualities a president should have? Okay. Anyone? Okay, Jenny. How about you? All right. Effective communication skills. Of course, you're correct. So, of course, a president should have, an excellent communication skills because, presidents talk to their fellow presidents all over the world. All right. And how about you, Karen? All right. Okay. A strong vision for the country's future. That's correct. Okay. Another one. Let's hear from Ben. All right. So Ben, what do you think? All right. Okay. Someone who respects history, right? Okay. Or an ability to put, their own times in the perspective of history, of course. Yes. Another one. How about you, Luis? All right. Okay. So someone who has crisis management skills. That's correct. Okay. So these are very essential characteristics and traits uh, a president should have. All right. Thank you for participating and sharing your thoughts. All right. Let's begin with the first president. Okay. So here we have Emilio Aguinaldo. Yeah, he was the president from 1899 to 1901. And he was the first and only president of the First Republic, Malolos Republic. And he was known as the president of the revolutionary government. Okay, he actually signed the Pact of Biak na Bato, creating a time or a truce between the Spanish and Philippine revolutionaries. So during his time, yeah, we were occupied by the Spaniards, and he created like a peace pact or truce pact. Okay, and one notable fact from him is, yeah, he was the youngest president ever to take the office at the age of 28. All right. Next, let's have Manuel El Quezon. I think everyone knows who this president is. Yes. He actually quoted, and I quote, "I would rather have a country run like hell by Filipinos than a country like heaven by the Americans. Because however bad a Filipino government might be, we can always change it." So he was the one who quoted it. Okay. And of course, he's the first president of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. Yeah, he was our leader during the Commonwealth era. He's also known as the father of national language, so ama ng wikang pambansa. Okay. He was also the first president elected through a national election, and he created the National Council of Education. All right. So next one, the third one is Jose P. Laurel. He was officially the government's caretaker during the Japanese occupation of World War II. And he declared martial law and war between the Philippines and the U.S. United Kingdom in 1944. Actually, he was criticized as a traitor, and because he governed the Philippines during the Second Philippine Republic, where we were still like a Japanese puppet state. Yeah, and One fact about him is his family and descendants run the Lyceum University of the Philippines. They own that university. All right. And next, Sergio Osmeña. He is the second president of the Commonwealth. He also was the first Visayan to become the president. He hails from Cebu. And under his administration, Philippine National Bank was rehabilitated, and the country joined the International Monetary Fund during his presidency. He was also the oldest person to hold office, becoming the president at the age of 65. As you may know, he also appears in the 50 peso bill. All right. The next one is Manuel Rojas. He was inaugurated as the first president of the new republic after World War II. He was the third and the last president under the Commonwealth, and under his term, the Philippine Rehabilitation Act and Philippine Trade Act laws were accepted by the Congress. And during his presidency, began the reconstruction from the damages of war and life without the foreign rule. And most notable thing about his presidency, he had the shortest term, yeah, among all the presidents. He only served for like a year and 10 months. Next is Elpidio Quirino. He, in under his presidency, Hukbalahap guerrilla movement was active, and he was the one who created Social Security Commission. He also created the Integrity Board to monitor graft and corruption. He actually under his presidency, Quezon City became the capital city of the Philippines in 1948. Next, we have Ramon Magsaysay. His presidency was referred to as the Philippines' golden years for its lack of corruption. Yes, and under his governance, Hukbalhak movement quelled during his presidency. So, Philippines during his time was ranked second in Asia's clean and well-governed countries, and unfortunately, he died in an aircraft disaster boarding, yeah, the presidential plane. Next, we have Carlos P. Garcia. He was known for Filipino First policy, which favored the Filipino businesses over foreign investors. He also known as the Prince of Visayan poets and the Bard from Bohol. He actually established the austerity program focusing on Filipino trade and commerce. He was also focused on cultural arts and other kinds of arts. Next, we have Diosdado Macapagal. He established the first land reform law, allowing for the purchase of private farmland to be distributed in inexpensive small lots to the landless, to the poor people. He also placed the Philippine peso on the currency of exchange market. Yeah, most notably, he is the father of our former first female president, Mrs. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Next, we have Ferdinand Marcos. Under his governance, he increased the size of Philippine military and armed forces. By 1986, the Philippines was one of the most indebted areas in Asia. And under his government, he ruled under martial law, and his dictatorship was known for its corruption and brutality. So among all the presidents, he like had the longest term, serving for 21 years, and was removed from the office after the People Power Revolution. Under his presidency, he also built more schools, roads, bridges, and infrastructures than all former presidents combined. Next, we have Corazon Aquino. She is the first woman to be the president of the Philippines or any Asian country during her term. She restored democracy after the ouster of Ferdinand Marcos. She reorganized the structure of the executive branch department of branch of the government. She also initiated charitable and social activities, helping the poor and the needy. And she was one of the 20 most influential Asians of the 20th century. Next, we have Fidel V. Ramos. He oversaw Philippine economic growth even during the Asian financial crisis in 1997. He also hosted the fourth Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Leaders Summit in the Philippines in 1996. Next, we have Joseph Estrada. Okay, so we're gonna focus on from him up until the present president. So during his presidency, more Islamic Liberation Front headquarters and camps were captured, and he joined other leaders and politicians to try to amend the 1987 Constitution. During his years in the office, economic growth was slow and he faced impeachment proceedings. He was ousted from the presidency in 2001, and it was brought by the People Power Revolution too. Let's have Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. She was the second female president of the country, serving from 2001 to 2010. She oversaw higher economic growth than the past three presidents before her, and the peso became the best performing currency of the year in Asia in 2007. EVAT law was also implemented under her term. She also had a controversial governance due to her rigging of elections and the Hello Garci tape. I think you've guys heard of that before. Next, we have Benigno Aquino III. He was the president for from 2010 to 2016. He initiated the K-12 education in the Philippines. He renamed the office of the secretary to Presidential Communications Operations Office and appointed new officers. Under his presidency, he oversaw 7.1% growth of the Philippine economy in 2012. Under his governments, he also suspended allowances and bonuses to government owned and controlled corporation and government financial institution board members. Lastly, we have Mr. President Rodrigo Duterte. He is our current president now, and he had a relentless anti-drugs campaign. He was also the first president to uh, implement the first tax reform law, or the TRAIN law, the tax reform for acceleration inclusion. And under his presidency, he also signed the law which gives free tertiary education to the people, okay, to the Filipino youth. Okay, all right. So we have covered the presidents of the Philippines from past to present. Now we're going to proceed now to an activity. Okay, so let's focus on the Philippine presidents for the past 2 decades. Yeah, from let's from beginning from President Joseph Estrada up until President Rodrigo Duterte. Okay, and yeah, there's this question: which Philippine president you think has made a great impact in the economic progress of the Philippines, basing from what we have covered earlier? And of course, you gotta justify your answers from your readings and from the information that you have gathered for today. Okay, so this is gonna be an essay type of test. The word count will be 500 words. In 500 words, you're gonna explain which Philippine president you think is the best or has performed the best in terms of economic progress. All right. Okay. So, and of course, for your homework, I'm going to have you collect the vice presidents of the Philippines for the past. I mean, from the past up until the present. and um, tell me their policies as well. All right. Okay. So, do you have any questions? All right. Okay. So everything is clear now, and thank you very much for listening. And I hope you have learned a lot from our history, particularly to the roster of our Philippine presidents from the beginning of the first Republic of the Philippines. Okay? All right. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.